Sam Moore,
Oh, did you?
yeah, yesterday from the LDC Community Foundation. And then
How are you?
also
Good. How are you?
Fort County Community Foundation too. But I think there's still some challenges.
It's to get the people to do the work, but
Yeah.
somebody to organize it, to keep yours.
I thought on that also, too, maybe exploring the Seaman Fellow. So it's Community Economic Development Michigan, and they have kind of like interns, but they're like fellows in communities. And the idea of they're focused on certain areas. One of those areas has to be RRC.
Okay.
But you can also have them work in other areas as well. So my thought process was maybe that. And there's a possibility that Heart and Soul is going to get funding from MEDC. And you could probably go through the RRC program.
Wow, lots happening in the 2.5 weeks that I've been gone. You've been working hard,
Well, that was all from
harder than usual.
That was more from yesterday's conversation.
Wow.
So,
Well, that's exciting news.
yeah.
Did you see my text yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you
I wasn't
see
sure.
her this morning? Probably.
I don't know if she will or not, but I know she's back to work.
Is she?
Well, I've seen posts that look like she's back to work.
I have two, but she could do that from home. Although I've also seen baby
Well-
photos from the auto place.
Yeah.
Megan's on her way, she just running late, she just.
Oh, I think she's back.
We were
I think
wondering.
she's bringing the baby.
Oh.
Sometimes you do that. Oh, there she is.
Good morning.
She got the baby.
I'm sorry, it's We're still getting the This is the one morning you wanted to sit in, of course. Yes. Thank you. 2. Almost 3 weeks.
All right, well, go ahead and get started. Are we all set, Kim? Okay. Roll call? Aye. You have before you the approval of the June 26th agenda. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. For support? Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to public comments, is there anyone here in the audience that would like to make any public comments? All right, hearing none, moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from May 22nd and the treasurer's reports and bill listing, which you have?
I'll move the minutes and the treasurer's report.
But not the bill listing?
Yes, the bill is
Okay.
thank you.
You didn't say consent agenda, so I thought you were trying to take something out.
Yeah.
All right,
Gotta
is
get back in the role here.
there support?
What?
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the executive committee. Over the past month, the executive committee actually met, and we actually had a meeting with Mark Sacken, who is an attorney at Starr and Sacken here in Lapeer. In fact, it used to be Bill Patterson's old office on Park Street. We met with Mark, basically kind of interviewed him in a sense of trying to figure out his qualifications, what is kind of his input on where he thought it would fit within his practice, and again, had the opportunity to ask him questions. And after that meeting, I received a proposal. We asked him to send us a proposal. It was pretty short, but basically, he asked that he be on retainer, and that it would be an hourly rate. It wasn't a flat fee. We didn't think it would be a huge amount of hours he'd have to really work. We did talk to him about the fact that we're working on renewing our DDA development plan. And there may be a question here or there where we need to reach out to him to ask questions. So we thought the amount we budgeted in our budget this year, which I believe was $2,500? We thought that was appropriate. He understood what was in our budget. So again, I believe it's $200 an hour is what he proposed, which is a discount rate. He did offer a discount rate from what his normal hourly rate is. So we thought we're making the recommendation as the executive committee to have Mr. Stacken be on retainer with us, and we're looking for approval from the board. I don't think if anybody else from the committee would like to add anything to that. Tim, did you want to add anything?
For those that don't know Mark, he's very highly qualified. He spent years being a Wall Street lawyer.
He's from New York originally.
And he likes being in a small town, and so I think it would be great. Although, frankly, we don't in a lot of need of legal services. So,
How long have you been in Lapeer?
I would say he came to appear right when Earl Morgan actually closed their practice. I want to say it's been about 10 years, maybe 10 years, a little bit longer. I don't want to specific because I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's been about 10 years.
I did think it was nice in his proposal too, that he mentioned that if we were approaching our budgeted amount, that he would let us know so that
Yes.
it wouldn't just go over and then we'd be like, oh no, we went over budget. So I
Yeah.
thought that was nice.
And I've, in other capacity, I've worked with Mark as an opposing attorney as well as somebody I've worked with and I've mediated with, and I think he will be really good. I think that he'll be very transparent. I think he will certainly let us know, but he's a very reasonable. I don't think there's, he's going to all of a sudden start, racking up costs or anything like that. That's not who Mark is. So I'm comfortable with the board going forward if it so wishes. So I would just need a motion to approve that.
so moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'm sorry, go
Who
ahead.
does he work for
He's
in the
a,
past? I mean, like,
So-
in comparison to the DDA, or businesses or nonprofits here.
he's a general practitioner, so he
General,
doesn't just work in municipal work. He does, I know he does family law, he does business law, he does real estate work. So he's someone that actually, the firm that he works for has, I believe now they have they're part of a partnership. So Starr and Sacken, actually Colleen Starr is the other partner. And there are, I believe now, one or maybe two other attorneys that are associates in their practice. So I think that they're a firm, not like actually Taylor Butterfield, who started off, they actually had kind of specialties based upon who was practicing in their office. So I do think he has a wide variety of background, which I think will help in this regard. So,
Very good. Thank you.
any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to committee reports, outreach committee.
Outreach did not meet this month. I do think it is important that we meet in July because we got, I think, a lot to go over and catch up with, and follow up on a few sponsors. Also sponsorship recognition, volunteer recognition. Those are things that we'll see a little bit later on when we get into our yearly evaluation that we're still behind on that we'll want to make sure that we address. So it'll be important that we do that. As far as sponsorships go, I did have a really good conversation with Comcast. They are looking to expand, or they are expanding into the Lapeer area, looking to get their name out there. And this all started when one of their representatives walked into the office and was saying they were new to Lapeer. And I said, well, a great way to get your name out there is to maybe consider being a sponsor. The very next day, we had a phone call and an email from the marketing department and their state manager as well. So they seem eager to do that and also assist in some other ways.
Great. Anything else on outreach or is that?
Anything else on that?
Okay, business development.
We met this month and we had actually quite an interesting meeting, and Jim's gonna be going over the surveys that we got from the state, but so I'll leave that to him. It was kind of run-in with Big Brother. It was a little unnerving at times, realizing how they gather this information that you're gonna be privy to a little bit later here, so I'll just give it back to Jim.
Okay, placemaking committee.
Placemaking committee met briefly just to kind of go through where we are at with our strategy for the year, our priorities for the year, some kind of quick updates on the vibrancy projects, and then also touch base on some of the upcoming projects the city is looking at, including parking improvements to the north lot as well. The other thing to touch base, everybody from the placemaking committee should have gotten an invite at our July meeting. We will be joined by Haley from the State Historic Preservation Office. She'll be joining us, and also Josh Prushik from Michigan Main Street will be here as well. And even though he doesn't represent like certified local government anymore, Alan Higgins, who was previously there, had been here in the past, might join us as well, just because he misses us and wants to see us. So if he's available, he's going to join us as well. So make sure you have July 16th on your calendar for the placemaking committee.
Okay, I don't know if the events committee are ready to like meet again, or is it like not the particular
We
month
didn't
yet?
meet, the whole committee didn't meet. The Porch Fest committee's been meeting every week, and that's coming along great. And hope everybody keeps July 20th open. We got 20 some bands this year, 12 or 14 porches, and so it's getting bigger and better every year.
Okay, moving on to other reports. I don't see Jill here for Center for the Arts. Are you going to report?
Giving
Okay.
Jill's report, hang on here. All right. Hi, here's what is happening.
Good start.
Last week, they opened the community art show and had a very nice opening reception on Friday night, where they unveiled the community art painting. And it's pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, it's been on Facebook quite a bit this last week or so. First summer concert at the Pix was almost a sellout. They only had 4 empty seats. The first movie, Incredibles, wasn't quite so successful. They only had 9 people show up. So everybody kind of pushed that. You know, that's something we pushed with them when they got their new projection equipment and sound stuff. And you know, Jill's working hard to put these movies on. They aren't necessarily that cheap. It's not like going to Blockbuster and renting a video. There's a little more to it. So we pushed that a little bit more. She had Casablanca on Wednesday, and they had 67 people. And then night is Shrek, and then the next afternoon movie is Maltese Falcon. The youth theater show, The Comic Book Artist, opens on Friday night at 7:30 with a second show on Saturday at 2:30. Jill hasn't had time to get carpet estimates, but we'll work on that. She has tried to get an installation date from Lake Orion Plumbing and Heating with no success. There you have it.
Okay, moving on to the staff report.
I have several things to touch base on. But first, just quick updates in your packets as far as available properties go. One of the spaces used to be the old Perkins site, actually it's not vacant, that actually does have an occupant, the Golden Arrow, that is relocated to that site.
Went to their open house on Friday.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot how beautiful that building is and how beautiful the windows and the woodwork is in the front. But yeah, so it's occupied and actually the open house was really well attended. And there were people going in and out. It was from 12 to 6. People were going in and out all day. I didn't get there till like 3:30 and there was still a lot of people coming in and going.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
All right, so other things I want to touch base on, if you haven't heard, Rite Aids across the state of Michigan are closed. That includes ours. My understanding is the pharmacy portion of it will close early July. The rest of the store will stay open while they sell out the rest of like the merchandise, and liquidate and go through that. So it could be like possibly like August before the store itself closes. That being said, Rite Aid is just a tenant. They do not own the building. The representative, real estate agent who represents the owner of the building has already reached out to myself, to the city, to the Lapeer Development Corporation. They want to be very proactive. They do not want to see that space sit empty. So Sam and I had some good conversations yesterday, Sam from the Lapeer Development Corporation, obviously, to talk about some possibilities, like what can you do with a space like that, and what does the impact look like with that. The other thing that we talked about too is this is also an opportunity to support one of our local businesses downtown, one of our local independent businesses as well, with Rogers Pharmacy also. So just kind of something to be mindful of. And if you have any ideas as far as the Rite Aid space, feel free to reach out to me and we can continue to work on that. And I'll keep on that as well, because it is a very visible corner.
I was by the one on Fenton in Bristol yesterday, and they've got actual signs all the way around it on their actual closing.
Hosted the small business team from the MEDC. This was their annual staff meeting, and they were able to join us here. So we had over 20 representatives from the MEDC, from Main Street, from RRC, kind of across the board. They were able to have their meeting at the Fix Theater. And then after that, we toured a couple of the sites throughout the downtown, focused on areas that the MEDC has supported in the past. And then also kind of talked about maybe some future projects that they might be looking to support. Overall, it was a very good meeting. Everybody that attended from the MEDC was impressed and engaged, which is the most important thing. They were paying attention, taking notes, and even talking amongst themselves about possible ways that they can support some of the upcoming projects that we have in the downtown. Last Thursday, I got to spend the day with Phil Ike. Phil was in town doing the service for this year's Main Street program, which we're doing Storytelling Blitz. So it was literally, we started at 9 o'clock in the morning with Buddy, and then it was every half hour we were at a different site. We cranked out 15 interviews, 15 stories on Thursday. So Phil's in the process of processing those. And his hope is to have those to us by the second half of July. And then we'll have 15 stories that we can share on our social media, Facebook, Instagram. They'll also live on our website. We'll have a page dedicated to those. But also all those resources, the photos that he took, the stories that he took, those will also be provided to the business owners as well, so that they can utilize those for their own businesses to support them. And then also, Tim kind of alluded at it, one of the other services that Main Street provided, and this provided to all their communities this year, is a visitor profile and event analysis. This is a really useful couple of information that they were able to provide in partnership with National Main Street. It is included in your packet, so you can look through it. The one that's in your packet is the draft. There's a couple typos, so don't share it yet until we get the final report, and then we'll be able to share it out with business owners, with real estate developers, with our different partners throughout the community. But essentially the way it works is they, in partnership with Main Street America, use a program called Placer AI. If we were to lease this program for the year, it would cost us between $12,000 and $15,000. So it's not cheap, but because of those partnerships, we were able to utilize that. And from that, we know that in 2023, we had 218,000 visitors to downtown Lapeer. I should say it's 218,000 unique visitors, but those visitors made up 1.2 million visits to just the core downtown area in 2023. And what's interesting about that is that's just the visitors. It doesn't include workforce, it doesn't include residents. They were able to remove those numbers from the equation. So this is just visitors who were here for at least 10 minutes or more in our downtown. They're also able to show us our busiest month, our busiest days, what days of the week people are coming, what times of day people are coming. This is good information because if you look back at the surveys that we've done in the past, it supports a lot of what the community has been telling us. So we have not only the community input, now we have the numbers that actually shows that they actually are doing what they say they wanted to do and what they were looking for. When it comes to busiest days and times, no surprise, August was the busiest month, busiest day, with the Saturday of Lapeer Days being the busiest day of the year with about 30,000 people. And then the Friday Lapeer Days, the second busiest day. So I will say that's well below the number that Lapeer Days often puts out there. But it's also still good information for them to see as well, because it does show that, yeah, it is still having an impact and you're still getting a good crowd down here. It's creating the busiest day of the year for our downtown. So what we can do through the DDA and the Main Street is continue to support the businesses that are open that we can help drive traffic. 30,000 people on a Saturday is still a really good number. So let's get some of those bodies into our storefronts as well. So we'll continue to focus on that. They also did a deep dive event net analysis. They focused on the car cruise and food truck events that we do the second Mondays of the month. This one in particular was the July 10th cruise from 2023. And so from that report, we're able to know that just between the hours of 4 o'clock and 8 p.m., so the hours of the food truck event and car cruise, we had over 3,000 people down here. And over the course of the day, we had almost 5,000 people in our downtown that day. So again, good information. It kind of shows us also the zip codes they're coming from, so we have an idea of what the pull is. And it does have a substantial pull throughout the state. We did have a follow-up conversation by phone. Some of the information that I'm hoping to get, because it doesn't talk about in this report, it shows us, kind of area codes within Michigan, but it doesn't show us how many or how much traffic we're getting from outside of the state of Michigan. So that is something that I would like to see. And I think that's a number that would also be beneficial for Michigan Main Street as well, because it could help the state with their tourism numbers to say, there's 24 Main Street communities across Michigan, and this is how many people they're bringing in from outside of the state. Over the phone call, they were able to tell us that 6% of our visitors come from outside of the state of Michigan. They do have a breakdown, so I'm hoping they're able to send that over to us as well. And then I also asked, and I'm hoping to get, doesn't have to be all in like a pretty format, like the raw data is fine, but a breakdown of each day of the year with how many people are in here each day, because then we can take that and know, like, all right, well, this date coincides with this event, and kind of give us an idea of how each of those events performed. But overall, again, I think this is a really useful report that I think will benefit us for business retention, business recruitment, but also sponsorships. 1.2 million visits in a 5-block area over the course of a year is pretty impressive. And so that's a number that I think we can definitely get out there and use to benefit the community as a whole.
So I think it's amazing data. I mean, I was just totally impressed when we were at the development committee meeting, but I do think that you should share, if you can, like, my question was, how do they know this? How do they know that as an
That's my
employee that count, but you can say that I'm actually somebody visiting and I'm not in that town, like sitting behind a counter, like working. So how do they know that? And so Jim shared that and I was like,
Yeah,
wow, I'm gonna turn my phone
That's how they
Right.
track.
It uses cell phone tracking. That's how they get the information. They're able to use a process called geofencing, where they can create a defined area, in this case, the Main Street District of Lapeer. And then from that, because everybody has a cell phone on them, they're able to tell us how many visits we get, where those visits are coming from, even down to the specifics based on patterns. If your phone is registering that it is at a location every day between 9 and 5, they're able to look at that and say, well, that's where they're working, so they can remove that so it doesn't include in our visitor data. Same thing, that's how they know what zip codes and what areas people are coming from. It's all through cell phone data. And everybody or almost everybody has a phone on them nowadays, and so they're able to use that. And the crazy thing is, like big box chain stores, they've been using this for years. We actually got a copy of the Rite Aid report from 4 years ago when that property sold to a new owner, and it references Placer AI in there. So the big box and chains have been using this, and so this is an opportunity for communities and small businesses to be able to be competitive and get access to the same kinds of information that's out there, and use it to improve the community as well, and not just solicit sales for a big box store.
Right. Yeah, it is great data. It's just like crazy that they have all the information.
But yeah, it is a little creepy how they get it.
Well, in fact, that they even the age demographics, okay, so then they start knowing how old you
Yeah,
are.
how do they know that?
Because,
Anytime you put your birthday on an app that you're on your phone,
Oh, I never do that.
I actually, it's strange because I think, well, it doesn't matter, but yeah, I think they get your phone, or I think they can get your information whether you type it in there or not. I think they have your age regardless. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, moving, anything else on your report?
that's it for my report.
Okay,
We're gonna be promoting that in a lot of different ways.
yes, yeah.
And that question is gonna come up, like, how do they get that information? So it's
Mhm.
important that we should-
Yeah, well, because people are going to ask that question, like, to validate the data, I think, so. All right, under new business, DDA office internet.
Yeah, so this kind of goes back to, I mentioned I had a good conversation with Comcast about potential sponsorship. But the reason they initially stopped into my office is, like I said, they've expanded into the Lapeer area. So they were looking for potential customers. And their timing was actually really good because I was on a Zoom call with the NBC, and that call on my end dropped 2 times during the call.
Oh, jeez.
And so Comcast is installing new lines, updated hardware. They can do faster speeds. And so that's the reason they stopped in, was to talk about our service that we have. Are we happy with it? And honestly, like the last few months, Spectrum has not been great. At least once a week, I get a text from them that internet is down.
I get that at my home as well, not even like for
Yeah.
business, but home also.
So they did quote us for internet service for 300 megabytes per second. That includes the modem, the Wi-Fi, plus their security package. We'd be looking at $101.95 a month. That is what we currently have as far as speeds go. I can tell you when I run a speed test, it doesn't register anywhere close to that. But we're also currently paying $109 a month for Spectrum. So that would be a little bit cheaper than what we're paying now.
Is that a promotional price that would go up?
That's a 24-month price. And then if we wanted to spend a little bit more, $122 a month, we could do the 500 megabytes per second, which would give us definitely faster service. And that is something that would be available to like all of our devices if they're in the office. So my computer, Jill's computer, phones, tablets, anything like that we're running.
With the higher speed, or like it has that both?
That's either one.
That's either one,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and that includes their security edge package as well, would be available for any of the devices also. My recommendation, I think, because we've been doing a lot more and because so much more is online or Zoom based, the 500 megabytes for $122, $109 right now. So for $12 more, we're getting a much faster service. And then talking with them about sponsorships, probably won't be a sponsor if we say no, but that also shouldn't impact our decision. I'm looking at it just as, I think it's better hardware and a better service because they're looking to get their name out there as well, and everything will be new.
Right.
And then I will point out, because it's new, they're still running the lines. So it would be about 60 to 90 days before it's available to us.
We switched at the office from Spectrum to Comcast because we were just having lots of lapses and have not regretted it at all. You're getting a better rate than I got. I don't know if we have more tied in or what, but that 122, I was like, that's not what I pay, and it is not what I pay. But yeah, that's a great rate. We have not been disappointed. Spectrum was just frustrating me so much because, you know, the middle of the shift, all of a sudden.
That price this week.
So I would suggest we make the change.
So are you looking for us to do board action today, or are you waiting for something more concrete from them?
I mean, it's happening. They're running their lines because businesses are already.
Okay, so are you looking for board
So
action
if we have
today?
board action today, they can get started.
Okay, and you're looking for the 500 megabytes or whatever it is, that gives you, it's the $122 a month for
Yes.
24 months. Okay. Is there any discussion?
Is that 24 month, is that a contract that locks us in? Or is that just a promotional price that if for some reason we had issues, we would be able
That's
to leave?
the promotional price.
Okay, so it's not a contract.
Right.
Okay. So if there's no other discussion, is there a motion to approve the $122 a month service with Comcast going forward?
So move.
All right, okay, it's been moved and supported. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to CEC, Lapeer.
So the team of us that represented Lapeer was up in Cadillac at the beginning, or actually the end of May. Myself, Mr. Lomack, Rodney from the Parks Department, Commissioner Atwood, Jill, were all able to attend. And overall, I think it was a really good experience. And officially, they announced that Lapeer will be hosting CEC for 2025. So again, just to kind of reiterate, it's a small town conference for small towns in small towns. And when I say in the small towns, one of the things I really like about this is each session takes place within the storefronts in our community, right? So there's an opportunity for the doghouse to say, like, host a session there. The Picture, Cream, Buyers Furniture, whatever it might be, to host a session within their store. And then they also do it noon from noon. So noon on Thursday to noon on Friday. And this is strategic so that it allows the attendees also time to spend in the community, shopping, dining, and actually supporting the communities. They schedule a half an hour between each session for the same reason, so that you have time to hang out and kind of do some exploring of the community. So there's a nice economic impact to it as well. That being said, it does take a lot of planning. And it also takes a commitment of a minimum of $4,000 in sponsorships. I don't think we'll have any issue getting that. I've already talked with a few potential sponsors, both locally and across the state, who would be interested in supporting it. We will get started planning in September. They will send a team from MSU Extension. We'll do like a walking tour, kind of have a discussion of the downtown area, go through tentative plans, and then from that point, it is meeting monthly with members of their team. Some of those meetings will be in person, some of them will be just through Zoom, but it'll be something that we'll be working hard on, and we'll keep everybody updated on that, and there'll also be an opportunity to talk about what we've been able to do through the DEA, but also some of our partnerships and bring in some outside sessions as well. So I don't know if Catherine, if you want to add anything to that? Or?
I had not been to Cadillac since my kid played hockey, like at 12 years of age, so it's been like 12 years now. But it was amazing. You think of Cadillac, Michigan, like, what's in Cadillac? I know that they've got a lake there, and there's a downtown, but I was amazed at how much they've done over the last 10 years. And it gave you an opportunity to like walk in between, and I did some shopping, you know, in between and got some things, but there was a really good session on the farmers market, and that one actually was done. They actually, the city of Cadillac manages their farmers market, and they had some really good tips. There were some good pros and cons, I thought, that was provided. So I think we could maybe learn some things from that. Actually, I talked to Mr. Womack about that when we were there. But there were some really good sessions, like kind of a good variety of. There was somebody, I went to one that was actually the MEDC, and what the MEDC had done to provide, to partner with the city of Cadillac, and what they were able to do down by, they have like across from the water, they have like a park, and there's a, it was considered to be farmer's market, but now it's like a venue for like all different types of things. So there was a lot of good sessions. I'm trying to think of, I didn't really come prepared to talk about each one, but it was really good. And it was a good chance to network with other people from other communities, just to kind of see what they're doing. Actually, I remember one, there was one that was a developer, I think you were with that one. And it was really interesting to hear from their perspective that, you know, this developer actually had tried to go to Grand Rapids and work with them and try to, you know, get involved in their city, and, you know, try to get some projects going, and basically felt very like the door was kind of shut in his face, like just would not work with them. And went up to Cadillac, and they gave him an opportunity, and now he's like, I want to say he's like their #1 developer there. He just has a great partnership with the city of Cadillac, and I'm like, wow, I wish we could get some local developers to have that relationship with us. So that one kind of stood out to me, actually. But it was a really good event, and I'm excited to have something like that come here.
With that session, I think it really emphasized the importance just of like a smile and a friendly face, and just a welcoming greeting.
Yeah.
And you know, that was something that really kind of stood out. And then another thing that was kind of cool was I attended an art share session. Now, art share is a program that places artwork in public spaces and public buildings. We have not worked with them in Lapeer. I was at that session, and it was running long, and I was getting ready to stand up and sneak out so that I could get over to the closing session, so that, because I knew they were going to be announcing Lapeer and I had to talk. And like, as I'm like starting to stand up, the speaker, she's like, if you want to see a really great example of a public space that incorporates public art, check out Lapeer's Pocket Park. You know, and I'm like mid-standing up, sit back down. So it was kind of cool to see that recognition, you know, from an outside group that we haven't even worked with, but you know, they are paying attention to what we're able to accomplish in the community.
All right, next thing on our agenda is our national accreditation standards 1 and 2 that we have to go through today to be able to get this completed by the end of August at our August meeting. So if hopefully you've been able to look at that, I know that Jim sent it out on Monday. I think in the packet, he provided the first 2 standards, so we can go through those. So if you go to page, actually at the bottom, it says page 3, and it says standard 1. So we're just going to kind of go around and just have everybody give their opinion as to what they would score that as. It's 1 through 5, 1 being not being addressed, all the way up to 5 outstanding achievement, 1 that the other programs would replicate. So I guess just looking for everybody's input as to what the number. We did this last year. So starting with the first standard, it's broad-based community commitment to revitalization. And it starts off with key indicators. The first section is partnerships and collaborations. And so we're going to look at the first indicator, and then we're just going to average the score here to kind of move along and get this done. So the first indicator, Main Street has developed partnerships and collaborations with local governments that demonstrate shared responsibilities for the district's revitalization in its program. And the first one is whether there's participation in strategy development and planning. So I don't know if everybody wants to go around, and give their score, or if you
Do we
want to.
have to do each A, B, C, D individually, or are we voting on indicator one and like those are the criteria for indicator one?
We can do either. I mean, I went through individually, did mine. I don't know if everybody else did, but I could just average mine if that's what we want to do. Do we want to just look at that as a whole, that indicator, and then it might be a little bit quicker?
I think so.
Okay, so looking at A through E as examples of how we would fare on that indicator, can we start, do you want to go first? 4. Okay, 4. Tim?
3.5.
Okay, Buddy?
I'd probably do 3.5 also.
Okay, Jason?
Look, 3.
Say 3.
I was gonna say 3, but I'll do 3.5.
Megan? Mindy?
4.
Ashley?
4.
And I actually had 5. I thought this is actually was a section that I thought we had been really well in. I mean, we've done our annual retreats, we've tried to, so I had 5. So that's, so then we just need to take that and average, what that number is.
I'll do the averages.
Right, yeah. Okay, indicator 2, Main Street has developed partnerships and collaborations with both nonprofit organizations and private sector entities that demonstrate shared responsibilities for the district's revitalization in its program. Again, A through E are examples of how we do that, or how we don't do it, I guess. So, Deb, do you want to start? 4 again. Okay. Jim?
I'm 4.5 because nothing's perfect. Right?
Right. Buddy?
4.
Jason? Elizabeth?
4.
4. And I had 4. Pretty easy math there. All right, 2. We're moving on to category 2, which is district and community outreach. There's only one indicator here. Main Street has expanded its reach to connect and engage with all sectors of the community. And so there are 3 examples here of whether we are doing that well or not. So, Deb, do you have one on that?
3.5.
Okay, Tim?
4.
Buddy?
4.5.
I'm gonna go 3.5.
3.5.
And I again had 5.
I think we're doing a lot better in that than we maybe have previously.
Yeah.
And if at any time there's things people have questions on too, feel free to bring that up.
Okay, so next category is communication and public relations. And there are, I believe, 3 indicators in this one. So the first one is Main Street has maintained communications and implemented public relations that inform and educate the community and district stakeholders about the district and the Main Street program. And then there are 3 examples of that that are listed. So, Deb?
3.5.
Mine's 4.5.
Buddy?
3.
Jason?
4.5. 5.
4? 4. I have 5. All right, indicator 2, Main Street has maintained communications and implemented public relations that inform and educate the public sector or local government about the district and the Main Street program. There are 2 examples of that. Deb, what did you have?
3.
4.
3.
4.
3.5. 4.
4.
I have 5 for this one.
I have 5 as well. Okay, next one is indicator 3. Main Street has promoted the district's positive image, brand identity, and assets. And there are 4 examples of this particular indicator. Deb?
4.5.
4.
4.
5.
I'll give it 5 as well.
5. And I said 5. Okay, moving on, we got standard 1 done. Standard 2, inclusive leadership and organizational capacity. First section is inclusive organizational culture and diverse volunteer engagement. And I think this one, I have a little bit of a question because when I looked at what I'm used to when I see whether you've included diversity and inclusion within your policies, I don't know, I kind of felt like we kind of fall here, but but maybe I'm misreading the thing. So let's start with indicator 1, which is the Main Street organization has demonstrated its commitment to diverse, inclusive, and equitable district and community engagement. And examples of that are the organization's stated mission and core values show a commitment to engaging in all sectors of the community that it serves. Internal and external notes that Main Street has a place for everyone in the community and that diverse engagement is welcome and valued. And communication tools address those language barriers as appropriate. C, work plans and programming activities address accessibility and inclusive design for all community members. And then the organization's policies address equitable access for all district and community stakeholders and the organization's leadership structure, as well as in specific projects and activities. And I read those because, again, I want to make sure maybe I'm not misunderstanding what they're trying to get here, because I don't know if I remember this one as well last year.
I think what we settled on last year with this one is that, is it a diverse reflection of the demographics in your community?
Yeah, and that's how I interpret
And I did do that. I just don't know, even with that, whether we made sure we've incorporated all these, but anyway, okay, so the first indicator, which is what I already had read, where are you at, 4?
I'm philosophically opposed to any sort of DEI stuff, so I'm bad with the past on this. But I would give us a 3, I guess.
4.
3, I have to say 2.
I'm sorry?
3, I guess.
3?
I think it's lower, but 3.
3, 3.5.
I said 2.
Yes, I would say 2 too.
Okay, indicator 2.
We want honest numbers.
Yes.
Because we do have until the end of August. So the other thing too is if there are things that we look at and we're scoring low on them now, like we have until the end of August to be like, what can we do to change that and bring some of those numbers up also?
Can I add something? I think in terms of like gender equity, if you look across the room, we're fairly equitable, but I think our community is changing somewhat. We are becoming more diverse in terms of racial and cultural things, maybe not as diverse as other communities in the county, but I don't think we're intentionally trying to include people who are non-white, let's just say it. So I don't know that we're being intentional about.
Sorry, that's I apologize. So, and I agree with you, and I think in fact, for indicator 4, I think that's why there may be a difference depending on, like if we were to go through each of those letters, there may be different
And I think it's
values there.
It's tough because we haven't been a diverse community, but I also think we're not thinking ahead because things are changing and we're not being proactive.
So indicator 2 is the Main Street organization has implemented an inclusive volunteer program that demonstrates the capacity to implement approved annual work plans and programming for the district. Examples of these efforts are demonstrated include, and then A through E gives you examples of how we are doing that while or not. So, Deb? 3. Tim?
3.
3.
3.
3 as well.
2. I said 2. Okay, indicator 3. The Main Street Board of Directors is formed with a diverse and balanced representation of the district and community stakeholders, which includes business owners, property owners, district and community residents, community businesses, and institutions. Doug?
I did 3. Yeah, 3.
4.
4.
4.
4 as well.
I have 5. Indicator 4, the Main Street organization has developed a leadership base that reflects the district and the community it serves. The leadership base should be open, inclusive, and representative of the entire community, taking into account a broad range of dimensions of the diversity, including race, age, ethnicity, gender, education, physical and mental ability, veteran status, and income level. The program should take proactive measures to ensure underrepresented groups are included as a part of the Main Street's leadership base. So I take that to mean like our board of directors. And it does, this is where like you might have a totally different number on A versus C, because there is a question on, like, do we have good gender balance? I think we do. But anyway, so it kind of goes through, so we can average that, I guess, if you have different numbers. So indicator 4.
I thought this was a funny one, because usually when we need a director, we need a director. And we find, and we don't generally use these guidelines for directors. But we managed to get a pretty diverse directorship here, so I'm gonna say 4.
Okay,
4.
Or,
Three.
3.
hold on, I gotta add 3.5. Okay. 2. So 2 is active board, not standard 2, but like section 2 is active board leadership and supporting volunteer base. Indicator 1 is shaded, and this is something that's a requirement and must be met to achieve accreditation. So it's like the important one of the entire, of these 2 standards. Board members have demonstrated active engagement in the Main Street program throughout the year, ideally 100%, but no less than 75% of the board members have A, attended board meetings 75% of the time throughout the year, B, new board members participated in board orientation, and existing board members participated in at least one training offered by the coordinating program. Does that include our annual retreat?
Yes.
Okay, good. C, played an active role on the board by leading a committee, a task force for a key initiative. And D, advocated for the program and district within the community in coordination with Main Street staff and the rest of the board. So this is indicator 1. Do you have a?
4.
I'm gonna say 4.
4.
or,
4.5.
I'm gonna say if I added my would be 4.5. And I want to just give everybody kudos here, because I think it's because of everybody in this room that actually I think we're much better this year than we were in previous years. I think it wasn't as good at in scoring that in previous years, but we've done really well, I think, this year on that. Okay, indicator 2. Board members have demonstrated active leadership and support to ensuring the program is appropriately funded to meet its operational responsibilities and programming goals. Ideally, 100%, but no less than 75% of the board members have A, made a personal financial investment in the program, B, participated in the development of fundraising goals, C, led or participated in key fundraising activity of the organization, D, made direct solicitations, and E, supported donor relationship retention and or recruitment. Deb?
4.
I'm gonna say 3.
4.
3.
3.
2. Okay, indicator 3. The Main Street program has developed an active supporting volunteer structure to ensure capacity to plan and implement the approved work plans. By doing that, they've done so through establishing committees or teams that follow the program's selected transformation strategies. The board's outlined priorities and or Main Street 4 points. Each volunteer committee or team has an active leader, chair, or co-chairs. Each volunteer committee has an appropriate number of members to plan the approved number of projects or initiatives it intends to implement. Committees or teams participate in trainings that support their roles at least annually. Okay, so indicator 3, Deb?
3.
4.
3.
4.
3.
4.
3, 4. Okay, moving on to section 3, professional staff management. Indicator 1, the Main Street organization has maintained the level of professional staff necessary to achieve its mission, goals, and annual work. The Main Street program meets the minimum staffing requirements established by the coordinating program. At a minimum, Main Street America requires part-time staffing for cities over 5,000 population. Main Street staff have job descriptions and defined performance expectations. Main Street staff participates in trainings required by the coordinating program. Main Street staff participates in professional development offerings provided by Main Street America. Main Street staff communicates regularly with the board and specifically with the board chair and offers regularly reports to the board. So indicator 1.
3.5.
4.5.
4.
4. 5.
5. Indicator 2, which I think is no, there's one more after this. So Main Street Board of Directors has managed and provided guidance to its Main Street director throughout the year. And I guess I'm not going to read all those, but there are 6 of them to look at in determining how you score here. So,
4.
there's another one.
On the back.
There's one in the back, unless that's not printed off the last page. Okay, thank you. Okay, so indicator 1, 2, I'm sorry. What did you say, Doug? 4. Tim?
4.
4.
I think 5, but 4 only in that there's no succession because we're not letting Jim leave. So that's our plan.
4. 4. 4. Sorry, I was trying to add. Okay, last one, or not last one, but this is section 4, effective operational structure. Main Street organization has developed appropriate operation and organizational practices to manage effectively. And there are examples here of how we've done that.
4.
I'm gonna go 3.5, and if we need this next year, I'll go 4.5.
Oh, that's actually my low score. That was my only one. I got a 5 otherwise.
Really?
Because of that ongoing issue, yes. Yep, I had 3 on that one.
4.
4.
3, 4. So I have 4, just because the other ones are all 5s, but I had a 3 on the insurance issue. Okay, that's it. Do you guys have any questions about anything in the specific indicators? All right, old business, there is none. Board member comments. Hearing none, there we have no correspondence that's been provided, and so is there a motion to adjourn?
I'm always waiting for Buddy on that one, man.
Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Is there any truth to the rumor that Kroger is self-marketing? Maybe
I thought they did really well. Yeah, they can keep really well with their.
I don't know, I get pissed off at them, I love them, but you did. Oh, yeah, there you go. I go to Myers. Kroger's 6 bucks. He's like, I hate to. I did. It was, hey, thank you. It was, cool. The cities was as hot, it was. Yeah. But the rain was,
I like that.
got lots of rain.
Yeah.
Back up. Big